Have you ever felt taken advantage of on vacation? My parents just wasted $2,000 on their last cruise falling for some of these 7 traps. Trap number 3 ruined another couple's entire vacation, and they paid an extra $400 for it. I'm Gary with Optimal Cruising, bringing you fresh cruise advice, money-saving hacks, and secret strategies the cruise lines don't advertise. If you're even thinking about cruising, these 7 traps could empty your wallet. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. I used to purchase drink packages on cruise ships from time to time, thinking I was getting a good deal, until I did the math and realized something was up. In fact, cruise lines don't think most cruisers are gonna do the math before purchasing the drink package, and they're counting on it because in a lot of cases, you could be throwing away hundreds of dollars. Now, the sound of a drink package that's all-inclusive makes it sound valuable because you can order whatever you want. But it is a smart move to figure out ahead of time what those drinks are actually going to cost you if purchased a la carte. I did this myself and found out that by purchasing the drink package, I was wasting over $400. Not too long ago, I added up my drink purchases during a cruise, and I would have a couple cocktails a day and maybe a soda or two and a couple bottles of water, and my wife would have maybe a cocktail or a couple beers or maybe a glass of wine a day, but never much more than that. And when we added up the a la carte prices, we probably spent about $250 on alcohol for that cruise. And had we purchased the drink package, because we would have both had to buy it, and this is pretty standard on most cruise lines, both adults in the cabin must purchase if one is going to purchase the drink package, it was gonna cost us well over $800. And that's a huge expenditure. So you wanna definitely do the math before you decide to purchase the package. Now, for some people, that package is going to be worth it. So that drink package could be saving you money. So whether you should have an unlimited drink package or just buy a la carte really depends on you. But do the math ahead of time so that you don't fall into this trap and end up handing over hundreds of dollars to the cruise line that you don't really need to. And if you don't like giving away free money, watch out for this next trap. About 2 years ago, I was in a Caribbean cruise and I got off at one of the ports, and I saw a couple get scammed on a free shore excursion. You don't want to fall for that trap. Nothing in life is free. So if you're offered a free beach excursion, what they're saying is they're going to take you to a free beach, but you're going to pay for the taxi ride there. So make sure you set up front how much that's going to cost, because that's what they're really trying to get you is transport fees. And then once you get to that free beach, you're going to see chairs set up and umbrellas set up, but they're not free. And in my suspicion, the taxi cab drivers have something going on with the people at these beach who are selling these rental chairs and umbrellas, various other things on these beaches, and they're getting a kickback for bringing you there, and then you're gonna feel like you gotta spend some money on an umbrella, spend some money on a chair. All said and done, you could be spending $150, $200 for a family to have a free beach excursion. Keep that in mind and watch out for these. You can do a lot better on your own, even just renting a car at a lot of these ports and driving to whatever free beach you wanna go to. Now, some of these traps happen right on the ship, and a couple I know had their vacation ruined even though they paid extra for this. So a couple I know went on a cruise, and they initially booked it with an interior cabin in the middle of the ship, in the middle of other rooms. And that's what I usually advise, especially for new cruisers and people who have trouble sleeping. Because if you have staterooms all around you, above, below, to the left and right, you have a much less chance of being bothered by noise. And the noise you're bothered by is just gonna be other people. But there's a lot worse situations and cabins out there that can make it difficult to sleep. So what this couple did though, is they bid on an upgrade into a balcony cabin. They bid $400 for it and they won. The problem is they no longer had any control over that cabin location. Now for some people this may not matter, but for a lot of people it can make a difference because they can throw you into a balcony anywhere on the ship that they have available. And for this couple, they ended up right below the pool deck. By night 3, they were ready to pay $1,000 just to change cabins. Don't get yourself caught into this trap. If you need a quiet room, book it outright and don't bid on any upgrades that could change your location and put you somewhere you're not going to be happy with. Regardless of cabin location, this next trap gets most cruisers most of the time. But first, I want to know where your go-to cabin location is. If you have a specific place you like to book, put it in the comments below. Or if you don't really care where your cabin is, let me know that as well. I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite here because I always buy the Wi-Fi on a cruise, and that's because I'm usually working to some degree when I'm on the cruise. So I kind of need it and I use it. But for a lot of people and most cruise vacationers, it's really a huge expense that people fall for. Because they think they need to be connected, they don't want to be out of touch, but it doesn't have to cost you $20 or $25 a day for your cruise just to stay connected. There are other ways. For one, once you get on board, most cruise lines will allow you to buy an hour or up to 24 hours at a time. It's not cheap, but you don't have to have it every day. And if you buy the package, you're buying it for every day. If you just need to get connected like in the middle of your cruise, you're gonna save a whole lot of money by just buying it for one day or for a couple hours. And then at most ports of call, you're going to find free Wi-Fi. Some ports, you'll find it right there at the port. You'll find like bars or restaurants. If you just sit down and order a Coke, you can sit there for 45 minutes on their Wi-Fi. And that's a lot cheaper than spending $20, $25 a day to the cruise ship. And then a lot of people have plans these days where their cell phones work in areas like Mexico and certain parts of the Caribbean, where if you're gonna be at a port, 4 out of 6 days on your cruise, do you really need Wi-Fi while you're in the middle of the ocean? It's something to think about and a way to put some extra dollars into your pocket. Whether or not the Wi-Fi is worth it to you, this next trap hits new cruisers really hard. After decades of cruising, I've gotten used to the high-pressure sales tactics cruisers face once you get on board. Now, cruise lines definitely track what you spend. As soon as you board that ship, there are going to be tables of people trying to sell you drink packages if you didn't buy one already, specialty dining packages, all types of items, because that's how cruise lines become super profitable. A lot of employees on the ship get paid commission for selling you or upselling you products. And there is a tendency to get high pressured sales tactics. One spot where I've noticed this frequently is in the spa. If you book a spa treatment thinking you're just going to get a massage, you're going to also be upsold on all kinds of products after that. This is the same if you just book a haircut. If you keep this in mind, it's really easy to say no. Just walk right past it. These people are not going to follow you around, and there's no repercussion for not buying anything extra. In fact, you can score an amazing deal on a vacation if you take that cruise with the idea that you're not going to spend any more money on board. If you really need a whole bunch of beauty products, you'll probably get a much better deal on land near home. But that doesn't even come close to this next trap cruisers fall for because they don't know what the deadlines are. Who likes paying for insurance? Especially things like life insurance. You're never going to see the benefit, and it costs a whole lot of money out of your pocket. But when it comes to travel insurance, the cruising industry has some features that you need to be aware of. My parents actually used this policy once because my mom got injured and she couldn't go on the cruise, and because she had broken a bone near her elbow, basically she got reimbursed for every dollar they spent on the cruise, and they had that money to book another one. If you're on your cruise and you get sick and you need to be medevaced, you won't be out $50,000 for a medical helicopter ride. There are some restrictions, and people who purchase this insurance on their own sometimes do it too late. So once you book your cruise, you need to go right away and purchase the travel insurance if that's what you're going to do. Because if you wait more than 30 days, certain things might not be covered. Pre-existing conditions might not be covered. Don't be left high and dry, and don't miss the window. Get this insurance up front so that you have the protection you need, and you won't be out of thousands of dollars because you can't make your vacation. Now, this last cruise trap, cruise lines are dying for you to fall for. But first, if you've gotten anything from these tips so far, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. We want you part of our family. My parents booked one of the newest, biggest ships out there and were regretting it by day 3. Now, my mom, she loves to book the newest thing. So she'll go somewhere and book a hotel, and she'll look for one that was built in the last year or 2. She wants something that seems fresh and new, and I understand that. But these newest and biggest cruise ships have a lot of things that people don't know about that might make your vacation less enjoyable. So for my parents, the problem was it was so crowded that they didn't even really want to get out of their room, because it was a huge effort just to go eat at the buffet or eat at one of the free restaurants. They don't like to spend extra money at the specialty restaurants, but even those can be super crowded on these mega ships. So keep that in mind. Cruise lines are advertising their newest and greatest and latest ships because they can charge a huge premium for them. You'll see that you could pay almost double to go on one of these big mega ships versus a similar itinerary on an older ship. But are older ships really that bad? Not necessarily, because they do get refurbished in dry dock from time to time. You're not likely to be sailing on something that's just wasted away. And the smaller ships are much less crowded. For me, it's a lot more enjoyable when there's less people around, because no matter what the exciting features are, if it's too crowded, I just don't enjoy being there. So set your expectations in line with what makes you happy. If you want the latest and greatest, yeah, book that ship. But my parents were disappointed. Even my mom, she was disappointed even with her room. She said it was smaller than on other cruise ships, which can be the case because they're trying to pack as many people into these mega ships as possible. Sometimes you can buy a cheap room on an older ship and it'll be quite larger than what they're putting on these newer ships. Now that you won't be falling for any of these traps, there are some things you'll need to be aware about when packing for your next cruise. I'll tell you all about that right here.